Well, Syria's state television is reporting the regime has retaken complete control of Aleppo city. The final convoy of people left the rebel enclave from the eastern part an hour ago. More than 35,000 people have left for places such as Idlib, rural Aleppo, and government-held West Aleppo.
The General Command of the Army and Armed Forces announced the return of safety and peace to the city of Aleppo after the last of the terrorists and armed groups have exited. This is a strategic and important development in the fight against terrorism and a blow to those who support the terrorists.
TRT World's Eddie Stianchan has been following the battle for Aleppo as well as the evacuation of the eastern part of the city. He joins me now live from Idlib. Hi, Eddies. We're hearing from the Syrian army that the Syrian regime now controls all of Aleppo. Is that indeed the case, and how does that change the situation on the ground?
Yes, indeed. We confirmed with our sources on the ground that the very last convoy departed from that enclave in eastern Aleppo as of Thursday. This last convoy was carrying, contained of about 20 or so buses, as well as scores of private vehicles, carrying the last remaining civilians as well as rebels out of that enclave. Now, following their departure, now the entire city is left in the hands of the regime, and they are declaring this a victory for the city of Aleppo. Indeed, this is a significant achievement for the regime, who fought over the city against the rebels for about 4.5 years. So within this ongoing civil war, this is probably a significant achievement. And as we've said repeatedly, Aleppo was once the largest city in the country, as well as the commercial center. And we've also said it over and over again that whoever controls Aleppo will have a significant leverage over large parts of the country. So now that the regime is in charge of Aleppo, they're a lot more confident, and we are also seeing some festive celebratory scenes around the city. Both the regime troops and some of their residents are celebrating this as a victory. But this by no means will mean the end of this civil war. In fact, by the end of this evacuation operation, we will also see the end of the current ceasefire, and that means the fighting on the ground will resume again. And we will see once again the regime forces confronting the rebels, but this time in other front lines. There will be no more fighting in the urban areas of Aleppo, but this time the front lines will probably be in the outskirts of Aleppo, as well as the Idlib province. And don't forget that the regime will most likely resume also its airstrikes, along with the backing from the Russian Air Force.
And Eddie says, for those tens of thousands of people who were evacuated and sent to Idlib province, where you are right now, how is that massive influx being managed by humanitarian services there?
Well, I think this was probably the most significant part of this evacuation. It was really a trade-off for rebels for giving away the city of Aleppo. They've managed to make sure that their families and the rest of the civilians managed to get out of that enclave where they've been trapped, cut off from the rest of the world for about 6 months or so. So the most important part was that these roughly 40,000 civilians were finally able to access their most basic necessities like food and medical supplies. Remember that where they are right now, as you said, mostly in the Idlib province, Turkish humanitarian agencies and their relief trucks can access and provide a daily routine supply of food and medicine. But right now, I think their most urgent need is still accommodation. This is a massive influx, as you said it there, and many of them are now sharing spaces with different families in homes or pre-existing refugee camps. But there is a huge need for more space, and that's why humanitarian agencies are now working towards establishing new camps. One called Kumene is being set up right now for roughly 10,000 families, and we're seeing another one even larger for about 600 dunams of an area which will contain 35,000 people. So that seems to be satisfying all that need, but it will take some time, and it's certainly difficult in these current winter conditions.
Okay, Eddies, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks so much for that from Hatay.